Okay, we're ready to get into some more GIS fun here. Today we're going to be working with spatial queries in Lab 7. Spatial queries are actually really cool. They allow you to select features based on the locations within a shapefile. So what we're going to do here is I've already got the data downloaded. So we'll go ahead and I've got data here. We'll go ahead and extract that data. Put it in a folder here. Wait for it to extract. There it goes. Okay. And so we'll follow along with the instruction here. I've got a new blank template open here, so if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that. And then from here, we'll add Texas County.shape. So we'll click this, go to Add Data. We'll find that folder, Lab 7, Data. Here's my folder where that data is stored. And Texas County.shape. Add it to the table of contents. And there's all our Texas counties, all 254 of them. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to select by attributes. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find Denton County. We're going to select Denton County by the attributes. And so we'll hit selection here. We'll go to select by attributes. And as always, we're going to use this to click on these things as much as we can. County name is going to be your where you can see the county names, obviously. So we're going to double click that, and so we have county name. We're going to hit equals, so county name equals, and then we'll hit get unique values, and that's going to list all of the records for county name. And this is pretty easy to find. We'll just scroll all the way down to Denton. Scroll all the way down to Denton. There it is. We'll double click this, and it built us an expression right here. I usually hit OK, or I'm sorry, apply, just to make sure that it's working correctly. So we hit apply, and we see that Denton County is right here. It got selected, so we can hit OK. And so we're going to create a new layer that shows only Denton County, right? This is how you create new layers from your selection. Because this is selected, when we output a new or export a new another shapefile, it will only output what's selected, right? So if I right click here, we'll go to Data, Export Data. And we need to save this in Lab 7. Go to Lab 7, and I'll put this, I'm going to create a folder called Results. Results, if I can spell it. I keep hitting enter. Okay, so we're going to call this Denton.shp. We will hit save. It's going to be saved to our project folder, so we'll hit OK. You're going to hit yes on this because we want that to be displayed. Now we see that we've got Denton in this green county here, and if we turn this off, we see what happened. Because we had Denton selected, and it's actually still selected here, because we had Denton selected and then we exported a new shapefile, it created only what was a shapefile for only what was selected, which is Denton, right? Easy stuff. It said to close the attribute table. We never opened it. On the menu bar, click. Yeah, we're gonna clear selection. You can do it like this. Clear select features. I usually just do it like that. Okay, so from here we're going to add all the major cities we're going to add major cities, but we're going to find those covered only in Denton County. So we're going to add a file called Texas Cities within your data set. That's this one here. And add. It's got all the cities across Texas. How do you select only those in Denton County? We do a spatial query. So this is going to be a different type of selection. We're going to go to selection and select by location. And that's going to allow us just to select within a location. So these things are really, you really have to pay attention to what you're doing here. I know GIS professionals that have been doing it for 20 plus years, and they still we kind of get into the kind of get in the habit of just kind of going quickly through these things. And if you slow down and think these things through, it'll be much easier for you to figure out. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this says select features from. We're selecting features as in dots, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to select dots. The dots are a feature, right? And what do we want to select the features from? Where are they contained? What layer contains those features? And since we know the cities are features, we want to select those features from this layer here, Texas Cities. Okay, so the next part is going to ask you about your source layer. What do you want to base that selection on? We want to find cities that are we want to select cities only in Denton County, right? So that's going to be your source layer. We don't care about Texas County because that's not what we're looking for. We want to find the ones that are only in Denton County. So that's your source layer. The next bit is going to be the spatial selection method for your target layer feature. Okay, so if you kind of think that through, you're just selecting features. What we're selecting from the target layer features. This is the target layer. These are the features, right? So it's asking you, how do you want to select those features in your target layer? This is your target layer. And I kind of go over this a lot, but it's really frequent that it gets confused, and this, people will select Denton instead of, and put Texas Cities here. It's the reverse. If you just remember what your target layer features are, remember what your source layer is, it gets a little easier. Okay, so so we want to, how do we want to select them? Well, we can look at our list of selection things here, and we want to select them completely within the source layer feature. Remember, we said this is our source layer. Within the source layer feature, we want to select cities within Denton County, right? Actually, it's going to be this one, completely within. Okay, so we'll hit that. I usually hit apply for this just to make sure it's going to work. I see a bunch of stuff selected for Denton County, so it's pretty good. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And if we zoom in on this stuff, go ahead and zoom in and take a look at what we just selected. We can see that those cities within Denton County are the only ones selected. None of them outside of Denton County are selected. So, okay. So what you want to do is you'll want to, next it's going to ask you a quiz question. It says, how many cities are completely within Denton County? There's a variety of ways to do this. You can count them manually, but that's not a good idea. You'll want to take a look at the attribute table. You can find it within that. It'll specifically say it for you. Like I said, there's a variety of ways to do it. The easiest way is to let the computer do it for you, which is through the attribute table. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. It tells us that selected cities are outlined in bright blue. We can see that. And so we're going to create a new layer for Denton cities. And the way you do that is we right click here. We'll go to data, export data. And we're going to save that. We're going to save that as Denton cities.shp. Make sure that it is within your project folder, and then we'll just hit save and OK. Yes, we want that added. So now we have, if we turn these off, we can see that we have layers that show only Denton County, and then only those layers, or only those cities within Denton. So pretty easy stuff. I mean, that's how you go in and do selections or write new files to show only these features, right? Go ahead and turn these back on. So now what we're going to do, we're going to select counties that are adjacent to Denton County. So I'm going to clear my selected features just to have that like that, and so we don't get selections confused. Okay, so to select counties that are adjacent to Denton County, first we're going to go to select and then select by location. We're going to do another spatial query. So this time we're going to change our target layer. You don't need to change this at all. We're going to change our target layer. Kind of think through what we're doing here. We're selecting, our target layer is going to be the counties that are adjacent to Denton County. And we can see from here, we're not worried about cities because we're not working on that stuff. It's going to be adjacent to Denton, so it's not going to be Denton because Denton is, this layer here is only Denton. So it's got to be Texas County. So we'll select that. And then so that's our target layer. Our source layer, we're basing this on it's their proximity to Denton County. It's got to be adjacent to Denton County. So this is correct right here already. This is going to be Denton County. And then for your spatial selection method, it's like I said, we want to select it based on the target layer feature. And so you want it to touch the boundary of the selected source layer feature. So to kind of go back, we're selecting, our target layer is Texas County. We're selecting it based on whether or not it touches the boundary of the source layer feature, Denton County, as the source layer feature. So we'll hit apply and we'll see what happens. And we will see over here, these counties here are selected, right? They touch the boundary of Denton County. Denton County, though, will not be selected because Denton County doesn't touch the boundary of Denton County, right? So we'll hit OK. And the reason I point that out is because we want to look at this right here, and if you just visually inspect it, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 counties are selected, but that's not true. The reason it looks like it's selected like that is because this boundary here is part of the highlight. This part of the boundary here for this county is highlighted, and all the way around. So it creates that boundary around, and it gives the illusion that Denton County is selected, but it is not selected. We specifically told it not to select it like that. And it's important because quiz question 2 asks you, how many counties are adjacent to Denton County? You can visually inspect that. I wouldn't do it like that. your eyes can always be fooled. It's best to go into your attribute table and look to see how many are selected, because your eyes can be fooled, especially with how ArcMap renders things. So you'll want to go into your attribute table and get the answer for that. So we'll go ahead and go back to that. My kid is making his breakfast. Okay, so for the on your own section, it says create a separate layer for Harris County and selected cities that fall completely within Harris County. Easy stuff. What we're going to do first, though, is we're going to deselect this. And I'm going to go ahead and save this just so I know that I don't get rid of my, my data, if I can find where I want to save it. Intro labs, this was lab 7. We'll just call this, I believe the instruction has us save it somewhere as, not sure, lab 8 MXD. I don't know why it says lab 8. We're going to call it lab 7. Lab 7 MXD. Save. Now you can close and come back to it if you want. So it said that we're going to, we can go back to where we're supposed to be here, create a separate layer for Harris County, select cities that fall within Harris County. Easy stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to, we'll do a select by attributes. So we'll go here, we'll go select by attributes. Texas counties, we're selecting, you know, based on its names there. We can see that this is still populated for me, but I'm going to pretend it's not, just for the practice. County name equals, we'll do get unique values, we'll scroll down to Harris County. There it is, double click that, we'll hit apply, and we'll see that Harris County is selected. We'll go ahead and hit OK. Right click, data, export data. We'll call this, make sure that it's within your folder if you've closed it out or whatever, but call this Harris.shp. Yes. And now we see that a separate layer, you know, for Harris County has been created right here. Clear the selected features on that. And now we want to create a layer that shows only the selected cities, or select cities only within Denton County. I'm going to zoom into that just so I can see what's going on here. And one of the reasons that it's important to use the attribute table to see the numbers that are selected for things is that, see that these are, you know, real close to that line right there, right, real close to the county line right there. And even right here, if you were to select cities, you know, for one of these two counties here, that's right on that line, and it's really hard to tell which is which, right? So you don't want to use your site and how ArcMap renders these things to count. You want to use your attribute table. Anyway, we're going to select just the cities that fall within Harris County, right? So we're going to do a select by location, select features from, it's going to be Texas cities, because these are all Texas cities. These are still these are features within Texas cities. Your source layer feature, or I'm sorry, your source layer is going to be Harris County this time, right? Because we're selecting it within Harris County. And it needs to be those which fall completely within the source layer feature. Source layer feature is this right here. We'll hit apply to see what happens. Hey, it looks like all of those cities are selected within Harris County, so we can hit OK. We'll right click Texas cities because it's still within the Texas cities layer. We're going to take that out and export it to, make sure we're in the right file here. We'll call this Harris for cities. SHP. Hit save. We'll hit OK. And it exported our cities to a new layer. We'll add that here. We'll clear selected features here, and we can see that those, well, if we turn off Texas cities, we can see that those Harris cities have all been added to our map as a separate layer. So, quiz question 3 asks you, how many cities are completely within Harris County? There's a variety of ways to do that. I'll go ahead and let you do that on your own. It's probably best, as usual, to look at the attribute table. You'll need to, there's no right or wrong way to do this. There's just better or faster ways to be able to do it. If you were to do a select by location, you could find those cities again. We've already isolated them here, so you could probably just find it in the attribute table. I'm not going to answer that question for you. I'm going to leave that up to you to use what you've learned here to answer that question. So the next section has you select by location to find the counties adjacent to Harris County. Again, that's real easy to do. I'll zoom out a little bit here. And so instead of just counting these counties, you don't want to do that like that. You don't want to count visually. Sometimes it's just good to get in the habit of letting the computer do the work for you, even though it feels like it may take longer. It's more accurate to let the computer do the counting for you. So get into the practice of doing that instead of just looking at it and counting just using your eye. So what we'll do here for that is, you just go back, select by location. We'll change this. This is our target layer feature is going to be Harris County. And then we want oh, I'm sorry, it's not Harris County, it's going to be Texas County. Because we want the counties that are adjacent to Harris County, right? And Harris County is the only feature within that field, so you're not gonna find anything but Harris County information for that layer. Texas County is what we want. So your source layer should be Harris here, and then it's going to be touch the boundary of the source layer feature, and hit apply, and then it'll select a number of features. The reason that I went through this again with you is because it looks like Harris County is selected here as well, right? But it's not. It looks like it is because this boundary right here is selected, this boundary here is selected, all the way around. But Harris isn't selected here. So anyway, there's a number of features that are selected here. And then that's going to answer quiz question 4 for you, is how many counties are adjacent to Harris County. So you'll figure that out on your own. You'll write down your answer. Pretty easy stuff. So next, the instruction has you create a new map or a map layout. And this is kind of where the fun part comes in, because you're going to do kind of 2 maps. You're going to create an overall map, and then you're going to create an inset. So in the table of contents, we're just going to turn everything off over here except for Denton counties and Denton. So turn everything off over here. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom to Denton. So we'll right click, zoom to layer. There's Denton and its cities. Next, it has you right click Denton, Denton cities. And we'll go into the layer properties, and we're going to work on labels here. So we'll click the labels tab. Labeling is it can be a little bit little bit difficult because, especially when you have points that overlap each other closely. These are kind of close right here. These two are pretty close right here, and sometimes those labels will overlap each other, and you'll have to go in and fix those manually, or just figure a way that they can be placed, where they're readable, because labels are there to be read, right? It doesn't do any good if labels are overlapping each other. You can't tell what it is. That's the intent of a label, is to be able to tell what it is, and if the labels are overlapping or you can't read them, it doesn't make any sense to have it there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the text string, and this is city name, right? That's how we want to label these. We want to label them according to the city name. Underneath that, we'll see the label symbology. We're going to select the color chip right here, and we're going to pick 60% gray, which is this one. No, this one. Yeah, I get those mixed up. Okay, so we've got 60% gray. In the text symbol frame, we're going to replace 8 with 10. That's this right here. So essentially, that's going to make us labels that are Arial font, 10-point font, and they're going to be 60% gray. That's the color on them. So from here, we're just going to hit apply and see how that looks. We can't see how it looks because what you need to do from here is hit the label features in this layer. We'll hit apply again, and there's our labels. I don't particularly like the way this looks. You can change it if you like. You can bring this down, 8 point, I guess. Apply. Those are kind of small. Nobody's going to mark you off because you have overlapping labels on here, but it's something to consider in the future whenever you start making your own maps. Is you want to be able to have labels that make sense and are clearly readable. But I don't think anybody's going to mark off points for you just because the labels aren't all perfect. Okay, so from here, we're going to add our inset. Our inset's going to contain texts and some other things. This is going to get a little bit, it may scare you. It's going to look like everything from here disappears. Bear with me. From here, we're going to go to Insert and Data Frame. When you do this, you'll see that something over here, we see that it says New Data Frame right here. This is kind of like you can think of it as a new blank map, although it's not a new blank map. This is just a new frame. And so if you look at this icon right here, we see, you've got this icon right here and this icon right here. So this is a data frame 2. You're working within this data frame now because it's in bold. This bold right here shows you that it's its active data frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename that data frame. We'll right click on it, go to Properties, and we're going to click General, and we'll call this Denton County. That should be all that you need to do to that. So we'll hit OK. And I probably spoke a little too soon there. We're going to add Denton data to this stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to, we'll hit copy on this one and this one. Or I'm sorry. We're going to add Denton and TX County to that. There we go. And wow, that's what it looks like. So we're going to make sure that Denton, if for some reason, Denton appeared at the bottom, you're going to make sure Denton is going to be on the top. The reason for that is if you deselect that stuff. If Denton was underneath it like that, you'll see that it disappears because the Texas County layer is on top of Denton. so it obscures it. So we're going to put Denton at the top right there. We are going to right click TX County, and we'll hit zoom to layer. It's zoomed to layer. This is never said to go into the layout window. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and go into our layout window. And now that we see that our two data frames appear for us, you know, in map view, or I'm sorry, data view, we only saw, you know, this one here. If you wanted to switch back and forth between those, you could right click on this and hit activate, and it would go back to your Denton stuff. And if you wanted to work in this one, right click on it, go to activate. This will be in bold and it will come back up to that. But in layout view, we can see both of them, right? Okay, so the instruction said right click TX County, zoom to layer. We'll right click, zoom to layer. Didn't really do much for us. So we'll kind of move that out of the way. We've got two outline maps here. We've got this, you know, this one here, you know, it's got the big bold border around it. Same thing with this one here. Because this is the active layer, you can see these little, I call them ants. You can see the little ants, you know, around like that. If we were to activate, or actually we can just watch what happens when I click on Denton County here. You'll see that this goes unbolded and this goes bolded. And so that's the active data frame now, right? We're going to work in this one. That matters. It doesn't seem like, you know, it's going to matter too much, you know, in layout view right here, but bear with me, it matters. So I've moved this over, you know, in this section out here, kind of moved it off the Denton County map. Because Denton County is a little bit wider than it is long, we're going to change our orientation to landscape. So we'll go to File, and then Page and Print Setup, and we'll go to Landscape. That will change our paper here in the background, Landscape. There we go. And so from here, it you know, the instruction tells you to symbolize the layers and add essential elements. You're just basically going to use what you have learned in the past to create a layout. Make sure that it has, you know, a north arrow, title, legend, you know, all that stuff. I'm just going to do a small sample just to kind of show you how you might want to do this stuff. I've got this expanded here, and so what I'm going to do from here is I'm working in this, you know, section here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on Denton and zoom to layer, and it'll fill my square. But now I don't have room for my Texas, you know, my Texas map up there. I'm going to undo that move. So what you have to do is kind of have to play around with it a little bit, figure out the best way to place Denton County on your map. And so you saw whenever I'm going to undo that. When I gave it some space down here, you can see that it cut off some stuff down here to the south. We can see that because if I hit zoom to layer, now I've got all my stuff showing here, right? And there's an example in your instruction that you can kind of use as a guideline. Don't take that as, you know, absolute. You don't have to copy it exactly, but it's a guideline. I think the scale bar for the example is in decimal degrees. Don't use decimal degrees for your scale bar. Use miles, kilometers, you know, something like that. Very few people know what decimal degrees are as a measurement. And so what you can do is, you know, just kind of play around with Texas map here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can't make Denton a little larger. Yeah, and then I don't like that outline around Denton, so the way you can get rid of that if you want to, you go to Properties, you right click on it, you go to Properties, and hit Data, or I'm sorry, Frame, here's your border. You can just change your border to none. Hit OK. And that takes that border away. You still have your ants, you know, when it's selected, but it doesn't have a border around it. Not, you can see the difference between this big, you know, the black border here and this here. For this, you kind of want to take out some of that white space around these, so we'll play with this a little bit and take out some of the white space, try to kind of center it up in it. Center Texas up in there a little bit. You can probably make this a little larger. Let's see what happens. A lot of this is just basically play around and see what happens. I'm going to pull this back down just a little bit. Zoom to layer. Yeah, because now we've got that. Now we've got that border. You know, the border for your Texas inset off of this border here, and it kind of looks better. And now I've got room for, you know, a title, you know, a north arrow, scale bar, legend, you know, all that stuff. And the thing that I think you really need to look at is we've got our we've got Denton County, you know, here is in the same green as Denton County, as this green here. So if you, you know, by chance wanted to change this to red, you could do that, and we'll even look at it, you know, real quick here. Let's see what it looks like in red. It's not going to be very good. We'd see we've got this in red, and so you would have to change this one here to red as well. I believe it was that one. Yeah, that just looks terrible. I mean, it sticks out real well in your inset here, but the overall, that looks horrible. I mean, it's killing my eyes just sitting here to look at it. The labels, you would have to go back in and change the labels for it. You know, the dots, you could. If I used red, I would change the dot color as well. But yeah, you don't want to do that. So I'm going to change all that back if I can. Yeah, I can't do it that way. So, you know, your instruction has it as like some kind of yellow, you know, so you can, you know, change it to yellow. So you'd have to change this one to that same yellow. I think it was this one. If it'll draw, there we go. Well, maybe. There it goes. So this color here is the same as this color here, and it kind of links the two together. So, you know, if your legend has Denton County in it, the legend color would be yellow, and it would apply to both this and this. So make sure and change both of those. You know, make sure these are the same color, whatever you decide to change it to, and choose something that's not going to blind me. The instruction has, as a matter of fact, yeah, the instruction coaches you through the legend, and we'll work on that a little bit. It says in the table of contents, click the Denton County data frame. That's this here. Right click the data frame and hit activate. It's already activated, but we'll go ahead and do this. So it's activated. We see it's in bold. We'll go back to the main menu and hit insert legend. Insert legend. And this is going to create a legend for Denton County. It will not create a legend for layers. As a matter of fact, I'll go through and show you what that would look like. If we tried to create a legend for, you know, this section here, it's going to come up with all this Harris County, Denton cities, you know, Texas cities. It's going to come up with all this stuff here, right? We're going to make sure that this is activated. We'll hit insert legend, and now we only have two. You know, Denton and Texas County, Denton, Texas County. And it just says continue with the legend wizard. You just go through, hit next, you know, hit next, go through and finish. Got your legend here. Change this stuff. You want your legend to be clear and readable. So we'll rename this to Denton County, if I can type, County, And we'll see that this changes, over here too as soon as I hit enter. This reflects this, and this reflects this. So we'll go back into here, change this to read Texas counties, hit enter, Texas counties. You want to make sure to change that. Those are easy, easy, easy points to gain. Even if your map is not the best in the world, you can also lose points through not changing those labels in your legend. They're easy points that you can get for your legend. So make sure to change those. They need to be readable, for a human to be able to look at it and intuitively say, Texas counties instead of Texas underscore what? Change that stuff. Okay, so that's about it. I mean, this is not a perfect, complete map. I'm going to leave it up to you to use what you've learned about creating layouts and maps to make your own titles, your own legends, your north arrow, scale bar, authorship block. You'll want to add all that stuff. Export it, as 300 DPI like you've been doing for all the rest of our maps. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is saved. So we'll just hit save again. And that's it. That's as easy as this stuff gets. We went through a lot of stuff here. If it doesn't make sense, you might want to go back over it because this spatial queries and spatial selection factors in heavily for the final project. And so make sure that you understand how to do these things. If you don't understand it, go back over it and do it a few times. It's pretty easy once you start understanding how things are selected, and it factors in pretty heavily. Like I said, for the final project. So you will need to make sure that you know how to do this. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. That's all I've got. As usual, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and give us a holler, and we will try to address those.